This video is for all creative people that are striving to be entrepreneurs, have ambitions of working for themselves full-time for the rest of their lives. A lot of people watching this video right now are stuck in jobs that they can't stand. This can make you feel hopeless and depressed. I was there for years. I want to take this opportunity now to shed light a little bit on my story, but my goal is with this video to let you know that a job or even a career that doesn't resonate with you, that you can't stand, that makes you depressed, that you dread going to every day, it can just be a small little chapter in your life and not your whole story. You don't have to let that define you. My story is a great example of this. Let's get right into it. So if you're a fan of the podcast, you might have heard a couple of little nuances of what I'm going to get into here, but this is how I achieved my dream career. It could be easy just look at my career now and see all the good things I got going on, but what we really got to recognize is where the story starts, which is when I was 14 years old. I started working the moment I could. As a freshman in high school, went down, got the paperwork, figured it out, got my first job. Now my first job, working for $5.15 an hour at a ski resort. Okay, I'm from Buffalo, we know that. It snows a lot. This is in the snow capital of Western New York. This is where it snows the most, inside the place where it snows the most. So we're out in ski country here, and this is where I got my first job, in the parking lots of the ski resort. My job was to stand outside in the parking lot all day and find empty parking spots for the people coming to parking. So I would have to kind of hawk out the different spots and go and just kind of point them in. Now, problem is, it's the Arctic frigid tundra out there. Now, I was way too cool to wear snow pants, so I'm just out there in my regular clothes and a jacket. It is blizzarding outside, frigid degrees out there, and when it's not snowing, they're making fake snow and it's raining crystally ice down on me all day. And I did that for a couple years up until I was 16. When I was 16, I got my first real job. My aunt looked out, my family was going through some hard times, I really needed a job. She looked out, got me into a legit job downtown Buffalo at a real estate law firm. Now this was life-changing for me. My aunt, like I said, linked me up with the lady that ran this office. She really liked me, put me in position to start making legit money as a teenager when I really needed it. So for the first few years, I was doing all the jobs that nobody else would be willing to do, period. 268 Main Street. Let's bring it up right here on Google Street View, okay? Let's take a look around. This is the heart of downtown Buffalo. We got the biggest skyscraper in the city right here. Last time I checked, it was abandoned, but that's okay. We got right across the street where the Buffalo Bisons play, the minor league baseball team. Looking around here, this is downtown. I used to walk this stretch all day. 268 Main, this is legendary. I was down in the basement on extended time for months and months at a time, constructing a filing office. Now this doesn't sound that bad, but this basement was grimy. I'm talking rats, I'm talking sewage, I'm talking garbage, I'm talking creepy doors that lead nowhere, I'm talking people just lurking around, asbestos, mold, everything that you could imagine in a dark dungeon, grimy looking basement. This was it. And I was down there every day in and day out. I had to wear a mask down there and the whole nine, building and constructing this completely alphabetized manila envelope room full of files. It had dust caked on the walls so much it looked like the walls were carpeted, but they weren't. It was just like that down there, but it was okay. Literally started from the bottom and now we're here. That's what the point of this video is. Eventually I got upgraded out of the basement and out of the office. Actually, they had me for the next couple summers working as a professional line stander. Now what does that mean? That means we're in County Hall, downtown Buffalo. They're recording people's mortgages and stuff as they buy their homes. They're sitting there with the attorneys signing all the paperwork. It's a big process. I'm standing in line to hold the spot so that they can then just go to the front of the line, put that paperwork on file, move on to the next one. No cell phone, no nothing. I'm just standing there, me and my thoughts, staring at the floor all day long, all summer, the whole day. That was an upgrade from the basement, but still mind-numbing, especially to a kid that's starting to realize that he wants to be a rap star. He's an entrepreneur. He wants to get after it. It will drive you insane. Stand there, do nothing, and stare at the floor. Eventually, after a while, they upgraded me to the position of the person that was putting all the paperwork on file. So now you got me out there. I'm in my 3X long sleeve white tee on the daily. I got my Dickies on. I got my Timbs. I already look like I don't belong working in an office, and I act like I don't belong there, but they love me. I had it in. I had been there for a couple years now. They knew I was a really hard worker, reliable, smart, trustworthy, so it was what it was. But now I'm dealing with the attorneys. I'm knowing all the paperwork. I'm making sure everything gets filed. I'm going and putting everything on with the county when people buy their houses. They got me walking up and down Main Street with envelopes full of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of checks. I'm walking with the knife out. I'm walking sketched out all the time, back and forth to the banks. It was what it was. It was a cool job. It was a much better job than most kids my age had. I was getting a little bit of money. I needed it. It was phenomenal, but it was all around a really great look. But once I decided that I wanted to be a rap star, it started driving me insane. Just being in the office, working for somebody else, just in general, became a no-go. I couldn't do it. And when I met April when I was 20, I went in, told him I'm about to be a rap star, quit, and that was it. Right when you get with your girlfriend and then she ends up getting pregnant, quitting your job is a horrible idea. There was a year stretch where I was broke and it was extremely stressful because I was living with April and her aunt. Her and her aunt were roommates. When I got with her, right away, she got pregnant. I kind of moved in. I was just chilling with my bros all day long, going after trying to get a record deal. I didn't have a job. You can imagine this type of scenario that I'm talking about. It wasn't a great look. Now, Buffalo, New York, where I'm from, at the time had the most collection agencies probably in the country. Fun fact they like to throw around. I don't know if it was true or not, but it seemed like it. There was a lot of collection agencies in Buffalo. Now, what is a collection agency? You have a bill, you stop paying the bill, you go into debt, you owe this company money, they send it to a collection agency to blow you up to get the money back. Simple as that. So April and her aunt both worked in a collection agency. That's what they did. I was mortified at the thought of ever even being inside of a collection agency. Call center, annoying people, blowing up their phones. All of that was just repulsive to me. I'm not that type of person. I don't like talking to people in general. I don't like cubicles. All of this is literally a living nightmare to me just thinking about. But I was faced with a decision where I had to get a job and it was the only job I could get. So I started working at the same collection agency as April and her aunt. Her aunt was my manager. So it was cool, but it was also like for a kid that's like super confident, I'm about to be the next rap star. Like, you know who you're dealing with. It's very humbling to be like, nah, bro, go sit in your cubicle with your girl's aunt and she's going to tell you what to do. And you got to get good at this because if you don't get good at it, they're going to fire you. It's another thing. It's like a mill. There's people coming in and out of these places all day long. I remember the moment sitting there. They put you on auto dialer. I'm sitting there miserable, embarrassed, horrified, and just one after another. Hello? 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 And it's not even like you can just get them on the phone and just like, hey, you owe us this money. You got to pay us. No, I got to get you to verify all this information about yourself. I got to go into all this stuff you don't want to talk about. I got to do all this stuff to get you on the phone. But after a while, I forced myself. I basically realized I had to become a character. I had to become a way more outspoken, louder version of myself and just go into that whenever anybody got on the phone. Sometimes I would even put on a Southern accent. I would just be a completely different guy. And eventually I got really good at it. After like a month or two, maybe 3 months, I started being one of the top collectors in this whole agency. By the end of the first year, I was getting bonus checks every month and I was up in my hourly rate. Now, what that allowed me to do was pay the bills. It allowed me to have some stability for me and April and our new baby. And I was able to still get after my dreams on the side. So I was still getting in the studio, which is super expensive, recording all the time, making all the submissions, taking the trips, doing what I needed to do. But I just had to humble myself down to work that 9 to 5 while I chased my dreams on the side. And it was working. And even furthermore, I was able to then kind of trade my graphics to get free studio time. So now the little bit of money that we had extra, I wasn't always spending in the studio time. So that worked out great. I was doing that for a couple years. And while I hated every moment of every day in the collection agencies, I would sit there and just stare and wonder, how will this end? One day will be my last day in here. What will it be like? What will that day be like? Where will I be going on my last day when I leave out of here? I knew it would happen. I knew I wasn't going to be stuck in those cubicles forever, but it was depressing. I had one job by the airport. Every day I would ride by the airport, look at it like, I know one day I'm going to be on a plane out of here. I know it, but there was no foreseeable way. All I kept hitting was slammed doors, closed doors, opportunities that looked like something was going to happen, and they would kind of linger and keep me on my toes and think some huge record deal was going to happen for a couple months. And then just nothing would happen. And I'd be back to starting from scratch and going back and forth to this work job and the monotony that comes along with that. Okay, so this went on for a while. I got so good at collections because I was nice to people. I'd get you on the phone, give you some information about what's going on with your credit report, get you a deal, clean up your credit report. People loved me. If I had your account, it was a good thing that we had going on. And I helped out a lot of people, so I feel really good about my career in collections. I ended up getting good at it and starting to pin these companies against each other for the highest hourly rate I could get. And I ended up in a little chop shop collection agency in downtown Buffalo working for a gangster at one point. Right before I moved out to California, I got my own office now. I'm downtown. There's no heat in this building, but it's cool. I got my own spot. There was a lot of sketchy stuff going on here. My point is, don't be discouraged by that. It happens. What's important is that you're getting after it in a meaningful way outside of work. Let that job pay your bills. Let that job be your stability in your life. But you have to have a game plan when you're outside of that, mornings, nights, and weekends. It's a lifestyle to be getting after it, putting bricks up on the wall every day of what it is that you're building. As you may know from the podcast, 2013, we had saved up. We got ourselves a 3-month Airbnb. We put all of our belongings into a U-Haul and drove cross country from Buffalo to California to make it happen. Now, within a few days of being in California, I was able to get a job in graphics, which was something that I couldn't do in years living in Buffalo. So right away, I hit the ground running. What was so great about this job, even though I hated doing it, even though it killed me to go every day, because I would get up, I'd be doing my drastic graphics, I'd be getting after it, and then I'd have to go to my job, go there and kind of build somebody else's business. But what was so great about it is it was a small business, so I'm just working for my boy, and he's letting me do my drastic graphic stuff while I'm there. I'm taking calls, I'm taking little breaks. As long as I'm getting the job done and getting the orders done, he let me come in at 3 a.m, and I would sometimes. As long as I got the orders done, it was an Amazon store. He gave me that flexibility, and that's what I needed. Thank you, bro. Thank you for doing that. My boy Nate, he gave me that flexibility that I needed to grow drastic graphics while I was working there. And then eventually the timing came where he had to move, and when he had to move was right at the right time that I was like, bro, I got enough clients. I'm ready to stand on my feet and do drastic graphics full time. That was my goal. That is the biggest chasm that you can cross. And we can look at it. I had been working, since I was 14, but I had been doing graphics, getting paid for graphics since I was, 19. Now here we are I'm about 25. So we can see right there, it took a long time of working these hell jobs that a lot of times felt like torture. I really, really, really hate going to work for somebody else on something that I don't care about, going in there pretending that I care, pretending to be somebody else, when in all actuality, my mind is somewhere else and I can't wait to get out of there. I hate that feeling, but I did it and it paid off. Now let's talk a little bit about what was going on with drastic graphics. Whatever I'm into, I want to be involved in. I love basketball. I want to go to the NBA. I'm going to try to make that happen. I love hip hop. I want to become the greatest rapper of all time. I love comedy. I love podcasting. I'm going to get into comedy and podcasting. So that's basically what happened when I moved out to California. I had started listening to Rogan's podcast right at the tail end of being in Buffalo. I fell off with all my friends, fell back. I started listening to Rogan and his friends and really looked up to him. These guys were doing what I wanted to do. They were funny. They were rich. They're out in LA. They got fans. They're just living their lives, doing whatever they want with their day. This is exactly what I'm wanting to do at that time. And I took a lot of inspiration and affirmation from them. You are thinking the right way. These other people, they're calling you crazy, but they're actually the ones that are crazy because they're not thinking the way you're thinking. They're the ones setting themselves up for a boring ass mediocre life. We're not crazy. We're getting after this. What we're supposed to do. We're young. So Rogan gave me that. He really gave me that confidence to be like, if I got to be by myself, I don't have any friends, that's cool. I know there's at least one group of people out here that I resonate with, and I need to grow up a little bit and go out here and be a man. That really had a huge impact on my life. So when I moved out to California, I connected with a lot of those comedians that were off the Rogan tree. There's so many really huge podcasts and careers that Rogan launched just to his friends. And when I came out here, I connected with them and started working within the podcast industry behind the scenes through drastic graphics. Now that was super exciting to me. And I grew my roster of clients to the point that, like I said, eventually I was able to quit my job. But I had about 7 to 10 clients and it was a lot to manage. Too much to manage. Too many people's careers that I was managing. Started off 1, 2, 3. And what it was I was building a reputation for myself. And the problem was, even though I was out here and I was all wolf mode and gung-ho and I really came out here to grind and get after it, I didn't have any friends at all. I didn't have any friends out here, falling out with a lot of my friends in Buffalo at the time. So when I started working for a lot of these dudes, it was like, bro, I'm here. Like, let's be boys. But it wasn't really like that. We were clients, but there was a blurred line where it was like, I was a part of something so cool, but I was just remote and detached from it. And there was a little bit of like, no, you're great. You're crushing it for years. You're great, but you are kind of like over there. Like, don't think you're actually like over here with us. You are, we're all the team. You're crushing it for years, but you are over there. Just let's not get that messed up. So that did kind of bother me. And I understood Hollywood activities from doing music for so long, but that did bother me because I was putting so much of my soul into this work. But at the same time, I knew, bro, these are your clients. This is a business. You can't be getting your feelings all wrapped up in this. These aren't your friends. You got to get after it. You got to be the business. You got to be the boss and the worker. And that's what I did. And that's what allowed me to keep my business growing. Now, I thought that this was really kind of my finish line. Having drastic graphics to the point that I had my own studio and employees and a roster of comedians that I had like looked up to and respected and listened to, people that in the industry that I was really in. I really felt like that was my finish line, and it really culminated in I think it was maybe 2017, 2018. It was Christmas Eve, and Rogan, I had been keeping in touch with him even since Buffalo. Not even in touch. I was doing fan art. I connected with a bunch of his friends. It was through his friends that I was working for that he had noticed my work, and I was just hitting him with fan art, and he hired me for a couple poster designs. So the first poster design, how ironic is this? Live in Buffalo, New York, Joe Rogan, the first thing he hires me for, poster design for him and Joey Diaz in Buffalo, New York. Blew my mind, stayed up all night. I woke up I literally pulled an all-nighter, sent it to him, 5:30, 6 in the morning. Nah, I don't really like it. It's boring. Okay. Now, I think I called into work. I sat there real quick, made another flyer, sent it to him. Boom, I love it. It's how it goes sometimes in graphics. You might spend weeks on a project. They hate it. You do something super quick, send it over. It's the best thing they ever saw. That's how it is. So anyway, we did a couple little projects like that. And then on Christmas Eve, I'm walking around the mall. I really needed this. Rogan hit me up. He's like, what kind of arrangement you got going with these guys? Let's do that for me. Set me up. I want you doing for me what you're doing for them. Let's make this happen. We locked it in Christmas Eve. I was like, yeah, it was the best feeling in the world. Imagine coming full circle. Now I got this dude who had inspired me to really chase my dreams and get after it and not be scared. Circle all around him and all his boys. And it really made me feel like, damn, this is crazy how this is turning out. So we're talking about a golden era in comedy right now that I'm at the epicenter of. As a freelance, professional, creative person, at the very height of this, I reached out to Thomas, Dope as Yola. And if you're a fan of the podcast, if you're a fan of the Yola channel, you know what happened from there. It was legendary. I appreciate Thomas so much. From the moment we started working together, I knew he was different than anybody I'd ever worked with. It was the situation that I had always been waiting for and always been asking for. It just took time for everything to come together the way that it needed to. It took the universe, I feel like, was testing me. All those years, kind of frustrated, being in it, but not being of it, not owning anything. When I met Thomas, we realized, bro, we're both at the same point in our careers here. We can come together, make something great. And then now it's a situation where the more I put into something, the more I get back. I have ownership. I have skin in the game. So I'm vested. And on top of that, this dude's like my best friend. So we have a team. I am now part of everything that it was like I wanted to be a part of way back then. It just wasn't time. I had to work. I had to earn it. I had to be tough. I had to go through and learn to not get my feelings wrapped up in my business. The universe liked that. When the time and all came together, bam, perfect situation. Couldn't be a better situation. And now we're still on the uprise. A couple years later, so far deep into this, we're just getting started. Now, if the story would have just kind of stopped there, I would be satisfied. Linking up with my best friend now, we built up all these different channels. We're inspiring people. We make people's day. Like that's all I ever wanted. Even when I was doing music, if you go back and listen to my earliest music, that's what I was talking about. Wanting to inspire people to know that it was possible. I was amping myself up by doing that, but I wanted to amp up other people too. That's what we get to do. I love it. I couldn't think of a better situation. And when I had first started off with Drastic Graphics, I never could have foreseen it. That's my whole point. Things had to take time to come together. If I would have rushed it, it wouldn't have happened. If I wouldn't have listened to my intuition multiple times, reach out this dude, hit him up. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Let that ride. Stand up for yourself. If I wasn't listening to that, the things wouldn't have landed the way that they did. That's another big point of this is trusting your intuition, being really mindful of your instincts in these situations as you're navigating these levels up in your career. Now, let me just break down a little crazy story here. I had a client. He would always be putting me on the phone with people, having me try to give them advice about podcasting and YouTube. Whenever anybody in the industry would ask him anything about podcasting, he'd forward them to me, and I'd end up sitting on the phone with him, giving him a bunch of information. It was fine. Didn't mind doing that type of stuff. I charged for it. Now, back then I didn't. So I used to do it all the time. Put me on the phone with somebody. He said, this guy's a showrunner. He's got a couple questions for you. I didn't even know what a showrunner meant. I thought that meant like somebody that runs around and like helps people out on the set of a show. That's not the case. So he puts me on the phone with his friend Adam. Now, this is a really important story to anybody out there that needs a little bit of encouragement about how things can come together when you just go in with blind hard work. Adam's looking to start a podcast with actor Anthony Anderson. You might know Anthony from, pick your legendary movie. For me, it's Me, Myself, and Irene, but he's in a million movies and TV shows. Anthony's great. So he says, me and my boy Anthony we're looking to start a podcast for him. My friend here tells me you're the guy to talk to. What's up? Basically, they're looking to hire a producer for Anthony's podcast, which is a huge deal. Now, I had already had the deal with Yola in the mix. I was trying to start to produce 2 to 3 podcasts, have Drastic Graphics be turned into a podcast production team, have a couple people under me that are kind of managing these. And that was kind of the direction that I was going in. But let's talk about this deal. So once I realized this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to have 2 podcasts. It's about to be crazy. Of course, Anthony Anderson, of course. I went up for the next couple months into direct competition with companies, big companies, teams of people, when it was really just me. So I had to go in straight competition mode, put together a bunch of presentations and a bunch of documents and a bunch of upfront work back and forth, going in and taking meetings with them, pitching myself, and really just being like, I'm better than full companies as a producer, just me. I might have an assistant or whatever. We'll figure that out. I'm the guy, one-man show, playing the role of like 6 people. So this went on for a while, and Anthony didn't end up doing his podcast. And there was plenty of opportunities where I could have got butthurt. I could have gotten my feelings. I could have started whining about all all this upfront work I had doing and it wasn't happening. But Adam, my friend that was kind of putting this all together, he respected how much hard work and upfront work I was doing so much that he threw me the most epic bone of all time and said, you know what, we're not going to do this podcast right now. I don't want to get your hopes up anymore about it. It's probably not going to happen, I can tell. But there's this TV show that my friends are filming. Why don't you go film behind the scenes for him? Guys, I was a graphic designer. If you listen to our TED Talk, you know, I attribute learning a new skill every year to the reason why I have a successful career. Like I said, if I didn't learn the camera, if I didn't invest in the camera, these opportunities would have never come about. I had a career going as a graphic designer, no camera involved. I went back to ground zero in terms of being a student, learned photography, learned videography, invested, got my camera equipment, just kind of hoping maybe something like this might possibly happen. Coolest opportunities in my life came about without me ever even knowing that they could like this. So why don't you go film behind the scenes on this shoot that we're doing? Now, little did I know, I just got ushered into commercial videography and what now is a whole lane that I've kind of paved for myself behind the scenes. And it's allowed me to work with legends that I grew up watching and being inspired by, and some of the biggest athletes and performers in the world. It's been 3 years now, TV shows, multiple Super Bowl commercials, T-Mobile, Google, Samsung, Microsoft. You can go on my website and all the biggest names, huge names. So what he did in doing that was set a precedence for me with my day rate and with being a professional videographer on a commercial set, which is a completely different thing than me and Yola out there running, gunning, doing our videos in the streets with me, him, and maybe one other guy. These are huge projects with huge talent that involve hundreds of people all working in unison to make the video happen. So working on these commercial projects has given me an incredible amount of experience and led to even more projects where I've been able to work with Netflix and be the head of social media and web and behind the scenes videography for a hit series on and for the Obey Giant global patients awareness campaign. There's been so many different opportunities. Now let's talk about why I was able to take that little TV show shoot that he had given me and it has then spun into all these different commercials. And I can tell you why. For one reason, because they see how hard I hustle. On the 6 days on the first shoot that I did, it was at an arena and I was going from the bottom floor, chasing the talent up the stairs while they were going up the elevator to meet him at the elevator with my gimbal. They saw me hustling all 6 days. I'm never not moving. Even when I'm not supposed to be moving, I'm paying attention. I'm letting everybody know. All the higher ups recognize that we need that guy. We want him back. And it's happened again and again and again. I keep getting the call. Years later now, I've worked in multiple Super Bowl commercials. This role didn't even exist on the call sheet before. There wasn't the BTS guy before, but it was literally my hard work and dedication that put me on that list and created that whole career for me that I didn't even know. It's my favorite thing to do now, basically, except for the podcast. Go out and film on these commercials with big celebrities and athletes and stuff. I used to wear Paul Pierce's jersey growing up. Now I'm sitting there filming them, laughing at his jokes and stuff. It's crazy. If I would have stopped learning at any point, if I would have got too in my feelings and allowed myself to get butthurt in different situations, if I would have ever gotten lazy, slipped up and not been hustling at all times, these situations would have not come together, but I did and they did. I want to answer one big question that I get all the time. Should I go to college for graphic design? I went to regular college. I dropped out. I went back when I was 25 online through Full Sail University to get my degree in graphic design. I got a bachelor's of science through Full Sail University in graphic design. Taught me in order to get a degree online, you got to be super self-disciplined. You can rack up so much debt if you're not super self-disciplined. Most people, as far as I know, don't finish these online courses. But it taught me a good amount of self-discipline, and it's because you're basically paying to work an extra job when you're doing school on top of working your other job. At this point, how many times have people asked me about my degree, or how many times have I really thought back on skills that I learned exactly in a college course? Probably not that many. I mean, it has come up. It is a big credential that I do put out there. I'm very proud. It did teach me to think and critique in an academic way. I can look at certain assets, visuals, graphics, posters, whatever it is, branding, video, whatever it is, and think about it and critique it in an academic way, as if I was a professor critiquing a project. And I think that's a really important skill to have. But I also think I would have developed that if I would have just been out in the field. And I was deep out in the field while I was going to school. Whether you go to college or not, you have to be able to teach yourself. You have to figure out what kind of learner are you? What's the best way? Because even if you go and get a degree in one thing, it's not going to stop there. You're going to have to keep learning more skills to be able to keep this going be able to keep working for yourself and identify different areas of value out there, and then go get the skills that out there to support that. Do you need a degree? Maybe, but what you really need to do is to be able to be a great self-teacher. With all the information available online, there's even lesser courses out there that might not cost as much as a whole full-blown college experience. The biggest skill that you can have is to be a strong learner and understand that it doesn't stop. If you're going to be a creative entrepreneur, you want to be adding on new skills about every year and a half, 2 years, adding on new skills under the umbrella of digital media and going out and getting involved, getting immersed, taking on projects, getting outside of your comfort zone. That's how you do it. That's how you become a beast. That's how you can sustain a career working for yourself forever. Outside of the work ethic, outside of the dedication, outside of teaching yourself, the other intangible that nobody can teach you is how to make and leverage your relationships. It's the biggest thing. The through line of my story, looking at people I look up to, and then it's like, damn, these people are my clients now. I built my career around this. It's all about my ability to make a relationship with somebody, feed it over time. It's the most important thing. Having relationships with people that you can leverage into bigger, better things for both of you. If I look at all my relationships with people now, that's what I have. It's a mutual relationship where we both kind of feed into each other's success. That's how it has to be. And you want to be a person that adds value to whatever situation you're in. That's the reputation that you want to start building up, so that when people hear about you, they hear this kid's a beast, the hardest worker out here. He's a savage. That's how you want people speaking about you like. So once that starts happening, it might take years. A lot of these things take years to really come about and start gaining that momentum. But consistency creates momentum, and momentum creates results, positive or negative. You can have momentum working for you or against you, but it's on you. So just to wrap this up, guys, I had years of hell jobs that were torture for me. But in my mind, all I knew was I wanted to be financially free, I wanted to be working for myself, I wanted to do what I want with my time. I'm still getting after that, but I'm way further along than I was when I started. I hope this video provides some affirmation out there to anybody on the path. It's completely possible. Like I said, podcasting didn't exist when I first started. I wanted to be a rapper. You might not even know what your best outcome is, but in your mind, you got to know, what do I want? What do I want to feel like? I want to be free. I want to be me. I want to be the best version of myself. What would that feel like? Focus on that feeling. If nothing else, focus on the feelings, the most simplest things, and then work with what's in front of you every day. Go work that job. Be who you got to be to go in there and get the money. When you get out of there, you get back to your dreams. Then eventually the pieces are going to start putting together. But you got to have faith. It might take years. There might be long stretches where you're not seeing results. You might be feeling discouraged. But when you sign up for this, when you want to be a creative entrepreneur, you got to expect that. You got to be ready for that. This is a marathon. It's a game of momentum. All right, guys, if this fired you up, if this got you feeling inspired, ready to get after it, if you like this video, you're probably going to like this next one. Check it out.